Hey, it's Lowery Smith of the CommanderSmiths here with a Spotlight Deck Tech with Sonic the Hedgehog. Here we cool, very cool commander. But the Commander Smiths is a podcast that comes out every week, Mondays or Tuesday nights. We normally record here on YouTube, so give us a subscribe. Wow, I'm still hungover. From 2 days ago, but yep, we do deck techs, we talk magic. We've been doing this for 8 years, so we have plenty of contact. Check us out. Give us a thumbs up if you like this one. So Sonic is a one and a blue and a red and a white, 2/4 haste. And then whenever Sonic the Hedgehog attacks, put a 1/1 counter on each creature you control with flash and or haste. And whenever a creature you control with flash or haste is dealt damage, create a tapped treasure token. So this has a couple of cool things going on. You want to be using like haste and flash creatures to get those 1/1 counters put on it. So we know that there's 1/1 counters being placed on stuff we like, flash and haste creatures. And then we would like a little bit of damage happening in there as well. If not being blocked, you can create a little bit of it and you get some treasures out of it as well. So Sonic in that regard is pretty cool. No particular order for what's going on, but we'll talk about how the deck goes. And this son of a I the they updated the camera and now I hate it. So we're just gonna push through it. Burrow's charm for that protection, just giving everything and anything into indestructible is important. And that's kind of why that's there. Mountain, available passage, island. We have Archangel of Avacyn, cool flash creature that comes into play, and then if you flip it, it's going to be able to deal damage. 3 damage to everything, and then you also get those treasures out. Fuck. Archaeomancer's map. This is just to be able to go and get some basic planes, put them into play as you're falling behind. It's a solid card for any white plus deck. Earthquake is kind of one of that damage I was talking about. You drop this and you're dealing X amount of damage in the early game. You're just kind of creating treasures. You don't need to wipe out any of your stuff and or just make it tactical. But at the end of the game, is if you have the most life and you have all those treasures being created, you just try and start killing everybody. So and then you still get treasures out of that. As long as you have creatures in play. Pretty cool in that regard. Preordained for just setting up and cantripping planes. Caravan Horde Dragon is there. It has haste. It creates treasures. It's like perfect in this deck. It's basically what Sonic the Hedgehog wants and is. We do have dual land. We do have proxies. We play with them. We give them out to people in the Patreon and Discord and stuff like that. So it's pretty dope. We have that one. Clum Creed Escort. It's a creature with flash, and when it ETs bees, creature you control has hexproof until end of turn. So it's a nice little way to make Sonic protected essentially from targeted removal. Also, just a flash creature. We have Sakashima of 1,000 Faces. So you drop Sonic, then the next turn you do Sakashima. They both attack 1/1 two 1/1 counters on everything. 2 treasures whenever you deal damage. It gets pretty wild. Mystic Monastery. You have a Scryland, Archway of Innovation. I like this one because you can pay a blue, tap it. The next spell you cast this turn has Improvise, which is you don't want to spend your treasures, but you can still tap them for mana with the Improvise. That's nice. You don't lose your treasures that way. It's kind of cool. Spiteful Banditry. So it has that X spell that deals damage to everything. That's going to make more treasures for you. Whenever a creature dies once per turn, you get to make another treasure. So on theme, works together. Molten Disaster, another X spell that deals damage to as much stuff as possible. And that's good. Same thing with Fault Line, also an instant. And then it deals damage to other people. Let's make sure that does. And each player. So in this deck, I definitely tried to go with the cards that also dealt damage to the players. And so that it can be more of an end game. There are plenty of X spells out there that only deal damage to creatures. So you can do that. Soul Ring. We have a Signet. Normally use talismans. I'm probably just running out or whatever. Sicarian Infiltrator. It's Flash, Squad 2. So you can make a lot of tokens and draw cards when the ETB. Also just making a squad when you cast it and then putting 1/1 counters on it makes a lot of sense. We have a Malcolm Alluring Scoundrel. It's a flash, it's flying. When it deals damage, you get to draw a card, discard a card, and put a counter on it. And then eventually, when you start discarding things, you can start cast them. Fucking out of focus. Mountain. We have those Swiftfoot boots. There you go. Plains. Dual land. Sensei Stop. I just love it in just about every deck. And then Frostcliff Siege. It's whenever those creatures deal damage, you get to draw cards, or your creatures get +1/+0 and trample. Either way, this is a fantastic card. I really like it. All right, next one. Avacyn Angel of Hope, giving everything indestructible. Also, that's just kind of what it's there for. Doesn't get any counters, doesn't matter. It's just making things indestructible. Treasure Map. I like this because you're scrying, but also when it flips, you can start sacrificing some of those treasures that you're making to draw more cards. We have Pyrohemia, which is fantastic. It's you get this in your arsenal. There's plenty of cards that this is going to work with, but it deals 1 damage to each creature and each player, and then so it's individualistic. So you do one, and you deal 1 damage to all your creatures, and you get 1 treasure for everything that's getting dealt damage. If it dies, it dies. But then you pay another red, and you do it again, and then you get more treasures. It's bonkers, and you make sure you don't kill your stuff unless you have to. We have Academy Manufacturer. When you make all those treasures, you are also just going to make a bunch of food and clues, which are cool in this deck. We have Archivist of Ogma. Has flash, so you can get counters on it. Also, it's drawing your cards, so it works perfectly. Plaza Heroes, Signet. Is it static caster? It has flash, comes down. You can deal 1 damage to target creature and each other creature with the same name as that creature. So it kind of attacks those token decks that everybody has the same thing: 1 power, spirits, soldiers, yada yada. So pretty nice in there. Island, we have a ponder. Flare of Fortitude. It's basically like a free protection spell, and that's kind of what it's there for. And if not, you have treasures probably laying around. Um, but also you do the free indestructible, and the indestructible is pretty important. And then you can just lay into the damage, and then your stuff survives. You're killing other people's stuff. You're getting the treasures and doing it again. So, dual land. You got the command tower, pretty cool. Do another land. Spark double, just copying the Sonic to get more of that effect. We have lightning greaves. We have prismatic vista. Fiery confluence is something. It's dealing 1 damage to each creature. You could potentially do that 3 times if you want, and so there's 3 sets of treasure tokens that are happening. Then also probably does the destroy target artifact or 2 damage to each opponent. So it's kind of in that realm of still being able to deal damage to everything. Karn's Bastion, Hallowed Fountain, Deserted Beach, Storm the Vault. Pretty cool card as well, because when you're dealing damage to them, you're getting the treasure, and if they block, you're still getting the treasure with Sonic. And then it flips, and that gives you a lot of blue for as many artifacts as you have, and it's bonkers. Aurelia, the Law Above. This is a haste, so you get the counters, and then there's also damage that can be involved when anybody attacks with 5 damage, and if anybody attacks with 3 creatures, you get to draw a card. It's a great card in here. Uh, Land, plains, boop. Dawn's Truce, which is another one of those cards that allows your stuff to get indestructible, and that's what you want. It'll survive that damage. Alchemist's Talent is dealing with treasures, double the amount of mana that's created by treasures, and then whenever you cast a spell, mana from treasures was spent to cast it. This class deals damage equal to that spell's mana value to each opponent. And so if you get up to 5, I mean, the first 2 are the important part, is just doubling those treasures. It's a little bit like a Goldspan Dragon, which I believe is in here, but doubling the amount of treasure mana is really nice. But also just a X spell can be really big, and then you're basically doubling the damage from an earthquake or something for everybody else. Cathar Commando, it's a nice one. You get to sacrifice this to destroy an artifact or enchantment, and it has flash. So you're putting counters on that. They like it when it's damaged, stuff like that. We have Knuckles, which is ridiculous. 2/4 double strike, trample, haste. So you get the 1/1 counters on it, and whenever one or more creatures you control deal combat damage to a player, create a treasure token. And at the beginning of your upkeep, if you control 30 or more artifacts, you win the game. It is an alt-win game. That's the part I don't really care about that. But just being able to deal damage and get treasures, and or they block and you get treasures, feels really. It's like a nice trap. Snapcaster Mage, Flash, casting more indestructible from the graveyard. We have Enduring Curiosity. Whenever your creatures deal damage, you get to draw a card for each of those creatures dealing the damage. Also with Flash, so you get the counters on there. Go Go Mysterious Mime, another way to copy Sonic to a degree. You can kind of choose every turn. And then, more Sonics means really good. Sakashima for that same clone effect. Fable of the Mirror Breaker. Create the 2/2 that creates a treasure. So on theme, discard 2 cards, and then when it flips, you can just make copies of non-legendary creatures, which is other things with flash or haste. They get the counters. You get whatever effect that's working. That's pretty sweet in that there. Professional Facebreaker, creating treasures when you're dealing damage, using those treasures to look at more cards. Doesn't get counters, but it's on the treasure theme. Unstoppable Plan. At the beginning of your end step, untap all non-land permanents you control. It's kind of just allowing Sonic to be able to all-out attack and then still be able to block. And because when they're dealt damage in the blocking, you get more treasures. It's just a way to work a different type of reconnaissance, essentially. Uh, Signet, Caltrops. Whenever another creature attacks, Caltrops deals 1 damage to it. You're creating treasures off of that. Shockland, Power Stone, Minefield. Um, Whenever a creature attacks or blocks, it deals 2 damage to it. And that is just another way to get more treasures and kind of slow down the game a bit. We have Scholar of New Horizons. So tap it to remove a 1/1 counter from anything to go and put lands into play or into your hand. Island, Chandra's Ignition. Put this on the biggest creature you have. It deals that much damage equal to its power to each other creature and each player. So it's just, making treasures, hurting people. Fiery Islet for maybe a little bit of land draw if you got that treasures going. Sentinel, Sarah, Leons. I don't know. 4/4 haste, so the counters are put on it as long as an artifact enter the battlefield under your control this turn. Creatures you control get +2/+2. And then whenever it and at least 2 other creatures attack, it deals damage equal to the number of artifacts you control to target player. Can It's a nice +2/+2 boost, um, but also just doming somebody if you have the treasures going. Errant and Giada, that's to be able to cast flash spells off. Also has flash. It's pretty mid, but it's on theme, so it works. Arcane Signet. We have Hullbreaker Horror. This card is crazy good in so many decks, but it's flash, so the counters work on it. And then every time you cast something, you get to bounce something, a spell or a permanent. It's crazy. Jing Gataxias Core Augur has flash, so you get those counters. It's on theme in that regard. Draw 7 cards. They all have to discard down, reduced by 7. So cards bonkers. Fairy Mastermind has flash, so it's on theme, gets the counters, and then you can also draw cards when other people are drawing cards. Not a bad deal. We have Spectral Sailor, whoop, and 1/1 flash that you can draw cards. It's a mana sink if you have a lot of treasures and you just need to see more cards. That's about it. Reconnaissance, be really aggressive to get 1/1 counters on your stuff. If it's gonna die, you pull it back, and at the end of combat, whether you dealt damage or were blocked, you still untap everything. Um, Card's crazy good. Sundown Pass. Crom has the haste, so it gets the counters, and then it draws you cards whenever an opponent casts a second spell each turn. Rivendell, fetch land, temple, fetch, basic. Another one of those kind of like sacrifice to draw card lands. Danny Pink is really cool. Creatures you control have whenever 1 or more counters are put on this creature for the first time each turn, draw a card. So Sonic attacks, you put 4 counters on as many cards, creatures that have flash and or haste. Will you fucking focus? There we go. And then you draw 4 cards. So it's best draw engine in the deck, probably. Brazen Borrower, um, bounce, flash, just works. Temple, Zoran. So whenever you make a treasure, you make another treasure, and so you're making more treasures in a treasure deck. Fetch. Deep Gnome Terramancer has flash, so you get the counters on it, but whenever one or more lands enter the battlefield under an opponent's control without being played, you may search your library for a plains card, put it on the battlefield tapped, and shuffle. Only once per turn, but gets the counters, gets you land. Great in that regard. Flawless Maneuver is giving everything indestructible. Rolling Earthquake, dealing that damage and ending the game. Defiler of Instinct, pay 2 life, add a red for a permanent spell, which is most of this deck, and then it deals 1 damage to any target. So you can pick off a little guy, you can hit one of your hasty things and get a treasure. That's pretty nice. And then Irenicul's Vile Duplication, just another way to copy Sonic and have more of what's going on. So that's the deck. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Pretty cool. It's been fun, very powerful with the Sakashimas and everything going on. Let me know what you have put in your Sonic the Hedgehog deck and zoom around. Thanks for listening. Bye.